welcome to Tough Times Radio with the homeless teacher Tom Redman on WELE 1380 The Cat. This is the radio show where we educate you, we inspire you, and we piss you off. I'm your host, and I'm joined tonight by Mr. Michael Cornell. He is the SSVF coordinator for the Veterans Affairs Administration, and he administrates the program for housing veterans here in Volusia and Flagler counties. If you'd like to join us tonight, you can join us on Facebook. Our Facebook page is Homeless Teacher, or you can get on the radio page, which is Homeless Teacher Tough Times Radio. And welcome, everybody. Hi, Mike. How you doing?
Man, if I was any better, I'd be twins.
Oh, that's my line, isn't it? Hey, I just want everybody to know before we get started, this show was born out of my desire to educate. And if you're not aware, if you haven't joined us before, I'm a Florida teacher who has personally, voluntarily lived homeless for over 98 days in 13 cities across America. I advocate for the homeless all over the state of Florida and all over the United States, for that matter. And I try to educate people on the truth of homelessness through the eyes of the homeless. I've personally tried to experience, as to the best of my ability, what it's like to live the homeless lifestyle. And I must say up front that it's not for the weak at heart, and I didn't get close to truly living homeless because these folks don't have a way out, and I could quit at any time. So I always had the option of bailing, and they never have that option. And so today I invited Mr. Cornell onto the show because I consider him an expert on tonight's subject, which are the principles of housing first. And Mr. Cornell won't say it himself, but I will say that he has the #1 veterans program in the nation, according to the HUD secretary. And that's why I would definitely consider him an expert in homelessness and housing first principles, because he uses them. And before we get into the meat of tonight, if you want to call into our show, the number is 386-523-1380. And we're going to have a chance for you to call in and ask anything you want of Mr. Cornell. Or you can talk to our guest coming on later, which is Skid Robot, and he is world renowned. He paints graffiti behind the homeless in Los Angeles on Skid Row, and he's been featured in People magazine, and there's been so many articles I can't even tell you. This guy is legendary. He'll be joining us later, but you can call in and talk to either one of those folks, or if you have a question or challenge for me, we're going to have that ready at the end of the show. And before I go a little further, I want to talk about Rocco's Yogurt. Rocco's Yogurt is sponsoring our show tonight, and I'll tell you, I was down there, and Tom just got in Dippin' Dots, and I'm not even supposed to be doing a commercial now. I'm supposed to be talking to Mike Cornell, but I'll tell you, I went down and got some Dippin' Dots tonight, and pay attention to the commercials tonight, because we'd like to thank Tom of Rocco's Yogurt for sponsoring us. So, hi, Mike, how are you?
I'm doing well. Just a little misstep or what I think you had said. I work for the Veterans Administration. SSVF, I work for Salvation Army, and it's
Right.
a grant that is funded by the VA, but we are definitely not the Veterans Administration.
Let me clear that up. That is correct, and I'm always ready to be corrected. I meant you administer the VA SSVF program. I should have said you work for the Salvation Army. My apologies.
Well, actually, I work for the people.
Oh, I got it all
clients.
wrong. Just okay, slam me. It's okay.
You know,
That's
being employed by and actually working for. I say this all the time. You're not just bottom line. I may work for Salvation Army and everything like that. Technically, but I work for every single person that's out there living in the streets or looking to become something more than they are.
all right. Cool. Well, before we get to Mr. Cornell and all about housing first principles, our first segment is called "Removing the Emperor's Clothes." And each week we want to highlight what's happening here in Volusia County or Daytona in regards to them developing a viable plan to end homelessness. Now, this is the third week we've been discussing Volusia County, and it looks like we'll be, talking about this locale for a while. Because remember, we advocate for the homeless, we being Homeless and Hungry. We don't accept donations, and we're not trying to get a contract for homeless services. We're an unbiased source. So, let me set this up just a little bit. I went before the city council in Daytona Beach, and I had a gripe. And my gripe on May 18th in front of the city council was very simple. Because a commissioner's husband had put a statement in the paper that it was an attack to have a personal attack to have homeless services downtown, additional homeless services, I felt that that was kind of where there could be a conflict of interest. And then when I found out that this commissioner's husband owned the website www.volusiasafeharbor.org, I thought that was a clear conflict of interest. I went to the city council and I very professionally gave my opinion that she should recuse herself. And you'll hear at the beginning of this tape, you'll hear the end of my speech, but I want you to hear what Commissioner Robert Gilliland had to say to me.
There is a chance she could financially or personally benefit based on what her husband said in the paper. And finally, I wasted 2 hours in meetings today. I'll talk to you about that next meeting. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I generally don't do this, but can I make a statement?
Just go ahead, no, you go ahead.
Again, this is Commissioner Robert
In
Gilliland.
fact, this guy from Orlando comes in, has no idea what our community is about, has no history of understanding what we've gone through with the overabundance of social services in our core area, downtown, and that when one of our residents speaks up and basically echoes what this commission has said, that enough is enough, do not approach that microphone. And when we say enough is enough,
He's not addressing you, sir. I'm sorry.
that, you know, this is completely inappropriate. It is as ignorant to Daytona Beach, our history, and what we have been through, what we're trying to accomplish, that is resulting in this misinformation, slanderous type of information being presented to this community.
Please have a seat, everyone. We haven't called anyone. Have a seat. You may have that, sir. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. Okay.
These are televised. And when somebody gets up there and says something like that misleads the people that are watching this on television, it's very damaging to our community. And honestly, sir, I would like to go back to Orlando and stay there.
Okay. And I simply want to say to you, sir, I'm not going to ask her to recuse herself, and I do not feel that your claims warrant any merit, and I personally feel that they're ridiculous.
So that was Commissioner Robert Gilliland of the Daytona Beach City Council. And I don't know if you heard that rant, but basically he said a whole bunch of untruths, so let's clear that up first. I don't live in Orlando, so I can't go back to Orlando. Second truth, I retired from the service in 2001, and since then I have lived in New Smyrna Beach. I went to Stetson and got both my bachelor's and master's and lived in DeLand and Deltona, and bottom line is I'm a longtime Volusia County resident. So just to clarify everything, I'm very clear that there's a lot of services located downtown, and I'm also very aware we've done nothing for the homeless for the last 10 years. Most importantly, we have to be able to voice our opinion, and I was very respectful to Mr. Gilliland, and he was very disrespectful to me. I'm a 23-year Navy officer. I'm a certified teacher. I in no way deserved that treatment. So that's our Remove the Emperor's Clothes segment. And you ask yourself, why did that happen? Well, go to our Facebook page. You can read all about it. Okay, and that's Homeless Teacher or Homeless Teacher Tough Times Radio. Either page will fill you in on all that. And you can watch the full tape of my speech there too. All right? So, hey, Mike, what did you think of that?
I like yogurt.
You like yogurt. Hey, Mike's a smart man. And so now it's time for our Hidden in Plain Sight news segment. So, first of all, you can go on our Facebook page and see this, but there's a place called Trinity Cafe. This is the most empathetic place in the world for the homeless to eat. I've eaten there many times. When I was homeless in Tampa, I ate many meals at this place. Literally, when you go in, they seat you like a restaurant. They serve you. You get all you can eat. You get a dessert. It's a very great place. The news, and this is in the Tampa Business News. Excuse me, the Tampa Business News. The news says that the Trinity Cafe's clientele is straining neighbors' compassion. And I'm not even going to go into all the issues, because here's the thing. We don't need to keep centering on the small problems that happen based on the huge volume of people these people help. The real issue is, how do we get these people off the street so we don't need these kind of facilities? And that's my cut on this article. And you can see it on our Facebook page. It centers just basically on people and the little issues of drunkenness. Yeah, you know what? I have to tell you, the homeless population has less problems with drugs and alcohol than the general population, and I could fill you in on that later. The point simply is, we can't center on the small, independent issues and not look at the global good that's happening and the global way to fix it. So that's our first news article. And our second news article is a Time Magazine article. And it's called Cheaper Than We Thought. And this highlights a study, and this is in Time Magazine, so obviously it's very reputable. And they are saying that, man, after we get homeless people housed through Housing First principles, it's actually cheaper to maintain them in housing than we had actually thought in previous studies. So truly what this means to you, the layperson, is if we use good models, we can very cost effectively, and even more cost effectively than we thought, solve homelessness cheaper than we thought. So go read that on our Facebook page. And again, you can call in at 386-523-1380 if you have a question for Mr. Cornell. And we're going to actually move to that right now. We're going to, we got to go to a hard break right now? All right, let's go to our hard break. Hey, this is Tom, the homeless teacher, and if you've never had a great bowl of yogurt, that's because you haven't been to Rocco's. I'll tell you, they have the best yogurt in town. You've got to get down to Rocco's right now. The flavors they have are unbelievable. Not only that, but they have Dippin' Dots now. And just in the Dippin' Dots flavor, their cookies and cream, I had some. They're phenomenal. They also have peanut butter, chocolate, cheesecake, white chocolate yogurt that is unbelievably awesome. The atmosphere in this place is phenomenal. They have Wi-Fi, and it's right on Beach Street, right across from the News Journal building. I highly recommend Rocco's yogurt. Tom Rocco and his wife work real hard, and they're great business people here in Daytona. And I will just tell you that if you hear the homeless teacher recommended, you can bet you get not only just a good price, but you get quality. Okay, and I'm telling you, I love quality. So thank you to Rocco's Yogurt for sponsoring our show tonight. They're trying to end homelessness in Volusia County. If you would like to become a show sponsor, you can contact us here at WELE 1380. So, Mike.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Tom and Rocco's and everything like that, you know, a lot of times people, business and homeless and this person, and they can't get together. Let me tell you, I have seen some Beach Street businesses that have really stepped up, and you know, I'm just thrilled that the business is apparently back up again, and Tom has been a true champion.
Not back up, Mike. I was in there tonight. I stopped in before the show to have a yogurt. Well, actually, I stopped in to have Dippin' Dots, to be honest. But I stopped in tonight, and the place was full. It was a great atmosphere, and I loved it. And it's funny, Bea just shows me a sign. She said, "Man, you should ask Mike about Rocco's, because Mikey likes everything, right?"
Not on my current diet.
Not on your current diet.
Hey, I'm wearing a 34, so that's all I have. I haven't been to 34 since I was 12. So eat more yogurt. I think it works.
Okay, so now we got to get into the meat of it, Mike.
Alrighty.
We're here tonight. Our show tonight is about Housing First principles. And Mike, can you please tell people that Housing First does not mean people get a free house?
Absolutely, it doesn't. And, you know, overall, and thanks for having me here after your first two guests that I heard, to be involved, you know, in something like this, and knowing that Andre's coming and the director of the National you know, these type of things, to be mentioned within that, you know, it's truly an honor.
But
yeah.
you are in that group. You know, I hate to break it to you. You know, hey, no, wait a minute. I'm going to stop Mike right now. You know, when the HUD secretary gets on the phone with all the mayors and everything and congratulates you for having the #1 program in the nation, dude, you just have to eat it. You're an expert, okay?
Yeah. We were in the winter meeting that we had. The national director of the Supportive Services for Veteran Families program out of D.C. Came down and presented us an award for having the lowest attrition rate, return to homeless rate in the entire of every SSVF program in the entire nation, and to have the Secretary of HUD call. He actually called twice because we were able to effectively end veterans homelessness in both Volusia and Flagler, and that's first to in the entire state of Florida.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I got to stop you because I have to highlight that. Now, Mike, now let's be very clear that Mr. Cornell was nice enough to come on our show tonight, and so anything I say are my comments, and anything Mr. Cornell says are his comments. So I'm not speaking for Mr. Cornell. I will just say this. He is the first person that I have seen in Volusia County that truly, when the rubber meets the road, helps the homeless into homes.
I mean, we sort of have a model, you know, because so many people, we call it watch what we do. You know, and that's how I teach my staff. That's how I teach people, because a lot of people talk. A lot of people walk around with clipboards. A lot of people scream and yell and stuff like that. But, you know, at the end of the day, if whatever you're doing does not lead someone to in my opinion, to self-sufficiency, both financial and otherwise, and getting them to a place where you don't have to believe in them. Everybody that works in the industry generally believes in these people. You got to get them to believe in themselves. And so I've been blessed, you know, with some opportunity and everything like that, to be recruited to come and run the veterans program. And you know, just a little backstory. People know, you know, I was living on the streets for 14 years. You know, I was a drug addict and a drunk and a criminal. You know, that stereotypical person that a lot of people want to see. And it took one person, one day, after 14 years, to put their hand out, and they said,
You want to give a shout out to that person, Mike?
yeah, it's Dr. Baxter.
I knew who it was. We've
yeah.
talked about it before. I have to be honest.
And you know, and to go, you know, from a place of darkness, you know, in that day, and not really knowing, and then, you know, some eight and a half years later here, you know, to be running, you know, a program that I'm able to give back, not only, you know, the, you know, financial and my experience and my advice and everything like that, to actually get someone to believe in themselves and to see it. And just in the veterans alone, I mean, I think we just did 258. And
Well, no, wait a minute. When you say you did 258, I understand that, but wait a
yeah.
minute. Hold on. I gotta get a word in edgewise. You know me. I have to do the talking, right?
Really, yeah.
No, I'm kidding, Mike. But 258 are the number of people that have moved to a permanent solution. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. They've gone from an unsheltered situation for the most part, and from there they are now permanently housed. And right now we have almost a 97%. They are now essentially they are off the financial dole, as it were, and no longer need case management, and that's the award that we received. Now, do we have some that mess up? Yeah. Do we have
All
some
right.
failure? Absolutely.
Yeah, and we'll get to that, but I want to go back over what you said, and I want to say some other things that you didn't mention. First of all, we know from Chief Chitwood that arrests are down 71% for homeless type crimes since the 1st of January. We know that I've been down on Beach Street interviewing people, Mike, and I have plenty on tape we can play on the radio. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time to do it, but I was down there again tonight, and I'll just tell you, everybody is amazed at the difference on Beach Street.
And I'll tell you, you know, and because I think of the success of the veterans program and like that, and when the you know, administration tag office situation occurred, and I don't want to get into why it occurred and all that other stuff like that, because we worry so much about what happened rather than what are we going to do.
I agree with that for
you
a
know.
$1,000,000% right there. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
And instead of always constantly planning what we're going to do, why don't we just like do it? And in mid-January, some things came to the head, and the wonderful Pam Woods, had called a meeting, and in my personal experience, I can only speak for me. The city of Daytona, those folks, particularly spearheaded by Pam Woods, may have been responding to something, but I've had nothing but good happen with that. But I think success sort of breeds that camaraderie. So on January 12th, we had a meeting, and all the top guys were there.
I remember that day.
And all the self-service agencies, all the dream team was there. I mean, everybody, and organizations and everything like that. And it went around the table, and Randy Croy, who used to run Serenity House, and I happened to be a former graduate of Serenity House in 2008. He said, kind of quieted everybody, and was shaking his head. He said, "Look, we're doing a lot of talking, but we got like the expert sitting right there."
Mike, I don't want to interrupt you. We have a phone call, and the last 2 weeks I've been promising we'll let phone calls in, and we've had people on hold and I haven't let them. So, hey, thank you for joining us on Tough Times. Who am I speaking to?
Mary Harry.
Hello, Mary. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I just saw a post, and Tom was talking about Homeless Lives Matter and James Worley.
No, I apologize for cutting you off, but we're not going to talk about that. If you have anything you'd like to talk to Mr. Cornell about, but this is not the forum to talk about other things. So, Mike, I had a whole list of questions for you here. See what I get for trying to take a phone call?
No, it's good. Because, if you're not ready to communicate with everyone, good, bad, or ugly, they believe in you, they don't believe in you, they're against you and all, it's about coming together. Because if we do not come together, even embrace our differences, then how do you expect some cat that's been living out there for 20 years to believe in what you're going to do and to think that you're just saying stuff and all? No, that's not what this is about.
Yeah.
If and like I say, if you are not someone that may have my 14 years on the street, and I wound up going back, when I was actually the first HUD-VASH recipient of a voucher. So I was literally the poster child for the program in 2008, and that's a subsidized program through the VA. And it's funny now because I'm the guy that decides whether to write them the check.
That's funny. Hey, Mike,
Yeah.
you know what? In the interest of time, because we got like 2 minutes left before the break, or 3 minutes maybe, I have some specific questions I want to ask you.
Absolutely.
So please, I want you to very specifically tell people, what is Housing First?
Housing First, okay. Essentially what it is, it's not just giving people free stuff. That does not have in any way.
As a matter of fact, it could happen without them getting any free stuff. Isn't that correct?
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, so explain to them, what are the principles of Housing First?
The principles of Housing First and it's based on what's called acuity level. It says that those folks that are doing what we may see as those more visible folks, the ones that use a lot of the resources, the emergency rooms, the drug and alcohol units, the arrests, the crime, the jails, all that stuff, if you base that on scientific principles and using, we use something called the VI SPDAT. But if you base it on acuity and you find those folks, those folks are the ones that will benefit from Housing First.
I apologize, but we can't say acuity because Big John and people like that are listening. So we have to have like better verbiage. So let's say we see who the person is most likely to die on the street. Is that the right way? Okay, so keep going. I'm sorry. You say acuity and people like Big John and people like that can't.
I wound up going back to school, and I'm actually I got my master's degree now, so I use all these big words. Acuity is just it's kind of a long, fancy, foo-foo version of acute. Think of a combat triage.
Exactly. Hey, guess what? I'm a reading teacher. I know the
there
roots and everything,
yeah.
believe it or not.
Yeah, I know. That's where I first heard about you.
Go ahead, Mike.
But yeah, you base it on that. And when you find that if you direct to those people, because those are not the cats that are going to go into a shelter. Those are not the cats that want to be programmed. Those are not the cats that are saying, "Oh yes, please give me drug and alcohol." Yes, they're not that. They're not there.
They're not.
Have to be where the client is, and the client sometimes means logistically. So with those person, if you do it correctly and you find the most acuity type thing, that person has the greatest chance to become a self-sufficient person who is able to deal with their issues. And they find that if you put a roof over their head first and then deal with the other stuff, that guess what? 85% of the time, they wind up becoming self-sufficient and wind up staying in the place. Now, our thing is 96.4% right now. So not every Housing First program works. In fact, only 19% of SSVF programs across the country actually work.
Oh, my
Housing
God.
First-
And so there's good and bad programs. And you know what, Mike? We have to go to a hard break right now. But I'll tell you right now, will you stay over for another segment?
Absolutely.
All right. So we have another segment with Mike. You can call in at 386-523-1380 WELE The Cat.
You can help advance research that may lead to a cure. Every day, researchers are working to help patients, but they need more information from people like you. MyApnea.org is an online community where providers, researchers, families, and patients can share and learn from each other. When you join the community, you'll connect to new information, researchers, doctors, and tools to help you wake up to a better future. Fill out the online survey at myapnea.org, a public service from the American Sleep Apnea Association.
Hey, it's Tom, the homeless teacher. Hey, Mike, will you know, I'm supposed to talk about our sponsor right now, Rocco's Yogurt. What do you think? Will you join me for that?
I like yogurt.
Have you ever been in there?
I have, actually.
And it rocks, doesn't it?
Shh, I'm supposed to be on a diet, but you know what I found out?
Oh, you're not supposed to have that. Okay.
But no. Yogurt is apparently okay for people that diet.
Well, I'll tell you this. It's a great place to sit. And luckily, I'm a married guy, so I don't have to look for chicks. But it's a great place if you're a single guy to go in. There were hot women everywhere. And, you know, you need to get into Rocco's Yogurt and take your best game, you know, because they have some great tasting yogurt. It's a great family place, all kidding aside. I'd like to get to see some more younger folks come in there. But it's a great family place. The atmosphere is phenomenal. You'll love Rocco's Yogurt. Make sure you get down to Rocco's Yogurt. Mike, are we going to have one?
Oh, absolutely. It's getting warm. A lot of people are going to come. Go down to Tom's.
Yeah, go down to Rocco's Yogurt. So, Mike, here we are.
Back again. All right, more housing stuff.
Well, yeah, okay, so let me reiterate. Housing First does not, wait a minute, I have to get off on a tangent, Mike, for a minute. Here's the problem. I got that phone call, and if I give that phone call any attention whatsoever, they'll keep doing it. So let me give that phone call some attention. Somebody that calls up to interrupt an educational show with junk about some fake homeless advocate doesn't understand what we're trying to accomplish. So let me take 30 more seconds to say this. We are here to educate not only the citizens of Volusia County, but all of the state of Florida and the United States about housing first. If you'd like to call in about that, our number is 386-523-1380. How did I do with that, Mike? I didn't yell.
You didn't yell, which, you are evolving.
I'm evolving? Hey, B, he says you're winning. Did you hear that? I'm evolving.
Yeah, that's a good
And don't forget, we have the call-in segment at the end of the show. But let's get back to Housing First principles. So, Mike, you'd already said we're really looking at how vulnerable somebody is. What else?
Correct.
What else?
Housing First doesn't mean housing only. And I tell you, in my personal experience, I get that first. I was the first person to get this thing, and I had a 2-bedroom place that they at first subsidized. And I had a blow-up bed in a plastic plant, and I was scared to death because I didn't have furniture, I didn't have anything, But you know what? After a couple days, I could go to the bathroom whenever I wanted. I could take a shower whenever I could close my door. I could sleep, even though it was a blow-up bed. I had keys.
I get it, man.
Keys that I could legally open something. I signed my name on a lease.
Come on, man. You're going to make me cry.
I haven't signed anything that wasn't in front of a judge. But I'm telling you that this, it's not just about give me something.
No, it's about give me dignity. That's what it's about.
It's literally about becoming at least a down payment on the person you were always meant to be. And so that's what we say. And so with
Can I say this? It gives you a little bit of hope. And I'm going to tell you,
Absolutely.
people do not understand the power of empathy and hope. And I sound very animated right now because truly, you know, when I experienced homelessness, and I didn't even do it for real like Mike, it tore me up. And so when I hear about that, I get a little frustrated. So, Mike, we got to get back to the thing, which is this means, Housing First means, A, we take the most vulnerable, B, we treat them with respect and give them choice. Is that what we're saying?
Absolutely, because it's all about self-empowering. It's all about if they have to believe that they can make a decision. See, life on the streets is traumatic. Your thinking, your thought process, everything is skewed. We say, get a job. They're not thinking like that. And that's what, in my personal experience and professional, that's what this apartment did. And it wound up, you know, because of that, and I've seen it happen again and again and again. And I think that if you do not have empathy, if you do not have the ability, this is what I tell my staff, and you can ask, not all of my staff is still working for me.
I hear you.
I tell them, if you are not here to work yourself out of a job, you need to go get another job. Because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, we're not making a lot of money. We're not always perfect. We're not doing everything. But we are here, and that's what I tell people. You know, I want every single person out there that I look at and that my staff looks at and we go talk to and everything, they have the potential to be me.
Mike, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I know what you do every day, and I want to say to the people out here, I don't understand when people like Mike or other folks are out there actually beating the bushes. I was talking with Liam today, Mike, one of the people that works for you, that's your street outreach worker. Okay, you know, why aren't these people the real people that are involved with the homeless, the real people listen to? And I want you to think about that for a minute, because we have something super special right now for everybody, and we got to move on for a second. Guess who we have on the phone? Skid Robot. Are you there?
Yo, what's up, Tom?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, good afternoon. I'm great. How about you?
Hey, man, you can attest personally that last week I jacked you on the phone, didn't I?
I mean, I wouldn't say all that. Time ran short, but then, you know, there's always another show.
But at least we have you on today. Tell people, man, you are a humble dude. You know, you're my brother. That's why I love you so much, right?
Yeah, man, you know, I got your back 100%.
So tell everybody how we met, Skid. Hey, Mike, you got to hear this story.
Well, initially we met through Facebook, you know, social media. However, we met down on Skid Row, I think off of Crocker somewhere, which is a very active...
It was Crocker and 4th, if I remember.
Yeah, right there on Crocker and 4th. A very active neighborhood, a lot of stuff going on.
Wait a minute, what's active mean? Because we're here in Daytona Beach, and people don't know what active means.
Active means, you know, people selling drugs, using drugs, you know, passed out on the floor.
Prostitution, gangs, that kind of junk. Yeah.
Normal ebb and flow of Skid Row, unfortunately.
Which is not always just homeless people.
Well, we're going to get into that in a second. That's why Skid's on the phone. Exactly.
I spent some time on Skid Row. So.
Yeah. So Skid, Mike Cornell is on the... Mike is another brother of mine. You know, there's only like 2 or 3 brothers I have, right?
That's what's up, yeah.
Yeah, so Mike, you haven't met Mike yet, but Mike's the real deal. So Mike's on the phone with us, and we're talking about Housing First. So what we want to do is now we all know who you are. Well, sorry, Mike. I know we're supposed to be talking about Housing First, but you got to see Skid's art, man.
I have.
Oh, that's right. Skid, what he does, and then I'm going to let him talk a little bit, is he goes and he paints behind the homeless on Skid Row, and literally, I hate to exaggerate, but he's committing a felony every time. And Skid, tell him why you do that.
You know, that's one way of putting it for myself. My personal belief is that, you know, laws against graffiti are a bit disproportioned to the crime. Just to briefly state that, you know, someone that does graffiti shouldn't be thrown in prison along rapists and murderers and, you know, armed robbers. It's just not the same type of crime. But when it comes to graffiti and the street art culture being more predominant, being accepted by the public, now has created this more of an acceptance, you know, for art on the street.
Right.
So, you know, the art itself can be considered graffiti for, you know, for legal reasons. However, the meaning of the art precedes all of that because, you know, the true meaning is that it's addressing a bigger crime, and the crime that's pointing a spotlight on or putting a light on is a crime against humanity.
You're right, and wait a minute. I got to give you a plug. We have Save Humanity T-shirts for sale, and every penny goes to Skid Robot. So if you want one of those, you can get it off our Facebook page. And Skid, I know you're doing some stuff with housing out there now. We could talk forever about your art, and I want to have you on a show later to discuss all your art projects, because that latest thing you did with the whole beach right there on Skid Row with the sand and the palm trees and then the art behind it's insane. And again, you could see Skid Robot's art on our Facebook page or on Skid Robot's Facebook page. But Skid, I want to talk about what you're doing out there to solve homelessness. Have you ever heard of this Housing First stuff?
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I recall us having a couple of discussions, and, you know, there's a lot of mixed opinions, and I'd have to say I agree with Dion Joseph. You know, I listened to the show, and, you know, there needs to be case management. There needs to be an individual connection. Sponsors, agents, managers, whichever terminology you want to use, but each individual that's currently experiencing homelessness needs someone to...
A friend, a buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Guess why I love Mike Cornell sitting next to me? Do you know why his Mike, tell him why your program's successful. I won't put words in your mouth.
It is not going to be successful unless you have what happens after they get in the door. It is about case management. More than likely, it's really about therapeutic alliance. It's about getting them to, you know, believe in themselves and believe in you. And one of the things that we have done, and it's gone national, is our Battle Buddies program with our veterans program. And we get a cat off the street into his own place. He gets a little cleaned up, and he wants to give back. So what we do is we buddy him up with the next guy who buddies him up with the next guy. And
check that out, Skid. What do you think, man?
What's that called again?
It's called the Battle Buddy. Hey, dude, you could get with me and I'll give you all the details.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. You know, there's a group out here that my friend Elvis Summers works with called the Vet Hunters. You know, they go out and...
We got to get Elvis on the show, man. Twist his arm to come on the show with you.
Yeah, I'll definitely, you know, give him a buzz about it. But back to what Mike's talking about, you know, that's exactly what it's going to take. And it can't be a job. It has to be a passion or a genuine feeling.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's a big part. That's a big problem part of social working. You know, just to even have those two words, like, you know what I mean? Like you said, therapeutic alliance, I think is what you said. So we need to change the linguistics, you know, we need to change the attitude and the approach, and that's where I feel like where the art and poetry combine to really get people to feel that way, you know?
I hear you. And, you know, Skid, will you hang out for another segment, dude? We got to go to a hard break.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, hang on the phone just a minute. Rocco's Yogurt. You know, I've talked a couple times tonight about Rocco's Yogurt, and it almost sounds like I'm just like, because they're sponsoring the show, I'm so sold on it. But that's not the truth, because I'll just tell you that I was going in there and eating yogurt long before I had a radio show, and it's phenomenal. And so, all kidding aside, a great place for your family to go in the evenings. Have a nice yogurt. It's a beautiful summer evening out tonight. Get out on Beach Street. Go down right now to Rocco's Yogurt, okay? And what I want you to do is I want you to tell them that Tom the homeless teacher sent you, all right? And when you get down there, if you don't enjoy it, you call me up. I'll pay for your yogurt. They're going to like it, Mike. You like the way I do that?
I like
okay,
that.
so
like that.
Go to Rocco's Yogurt. Tom and his wife will take care of you. Hey, Mike.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, you know, this whole, like, going to different cities thing's really messing me up, man. I got to have, like, these hard breaks.
If you want to blame it on that, go ahead.
Skid, you with us?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, man. It's just, you know, we're going to be going to other cities already, and so we have, like, these 15-minute hard breaks. Yeah. And so, okay, so let's get back to where we were talking, because now we have some time to talk.
Okay.
So, you and Elvis are doing some stuff out there?
You know, like, we're both doing our thing. You can kind of say we're two rebels with the same cause or on the same mission, you know, and What I'm doing more so, since the city's moved in on the tiny homes and really isn't tolerating it, and it becomes a bit wasteful, and my art is downscale to the installations like the one you were mentioning, the Skid Row Oasis that I created on in between 7th and 6th on San Julian. And I'm sure you remember that block very well.
I do. And let me say, 65%, and we certified this with Officer Joseph, about 65% of the people on Skid Row are mentally ill, so it's not a safe environment. And Mike was pointing out earlier, I have to jump in and say this, that the people on Skid Row are not all homeless. You have to remember, when you don't help the homeless, you give a automatic clientele to the drug dealers, to the pimps, to all those people, because these people, a lot of them get disability checks, and so a lot of it is criminals, not the homeless.
Yeah, it's definitely a large exploitation of a system that's there to actually help people that need it, and so they're just, they're pimping the system. People do it with welfare. People do it with all different kinds of ways. Like, the worst one for myself personally I can't say it's the worst, but what's one that really sucks is people that do that with college. Like, down at Trade Tech, you have people that sign up for the financial aid and max out their units and sign up for the most classes possible, and all they're really doing is getting the financial aid money ahead of time.
I hear you, bro.
And that means that, like, students that actually really want to go, they're like, in the system, the seats aren't available. But when the class actually starts, there's about 5-6 people in the classroom, in a classroom for like 40 people. And that's because the majority of those people are pimping the system for money. So
yeah,
that's a game with homelessness, too, because there's people that are pimping it, too. And I don't mean to use such a derogatory word. However,
hey, come on, wait a minute. You can't say a derogatory word because we've been very, very nice. Mike even said earlier, I'm evolving, Skid. What do you think?
I'd say so. You're a classy dude, Tom,
Oh, man, thank you.
I think it's the yogurt's going to his head a little bit.
Is it
He's
the
mellowing
Taroko's
out.
yogurt? Hey, you know what, guys? I don't mean to clean up this party, but here's what's funny. Hey, I have to say this. Hold on, everybody. It's time for our Put Your Ass on the Line segment. So if you want to challenge anything, that anything has been said tonight, you're welcome to call in. Now, we have a little problem. Chico and Debbie, if you're listening, I know you can't get through because the phone lines are blowing up. Skid, you and Mike Cornell are blowing the phone lines up, dude. Seriously, we can't even get we do a 5-minute segment, and we can't even get those people in. So, anyway, okay, so do we have anybody on the line? Let's take one. Hi, you're on with the homeless teacher. Who am I speaking to? Hello? Hello? Okay, we're going through lines left and right.
Literally blew up.
Oh, they did blow up the lines because we answered like 4 lines. Okay, we took too long. Okay, so Mike, Skid, what we're talking about is we were talking about housing first principles, and that we need to treat people, with dignity and respect, and we need to house the most difficult first because they're the most vulnerable. And what else do you want to throw in there, Mike?
You just got to take off a lot of those stupid barriers. When all of a sudden, you've got, you have to be clean and sober, or you have to have all your meds, or you have to, but you don't necessarily qualify for whatever the interim between the street, the hood, and between the woods and the neighborhood. Then all of a sudden you're locked down. And if you put those barriers on, if you were someone like me or whatever like that, that was my preordained excuse. I don't want your stupid drug and alcohol. I don't want your mental health. What I want is a place that's my own.
And you know what? I know of a family right here, and this is why Halifax Urban Ministries upsets me. And let me clear this up. This is not Mike Cornell talking. This is Tom, the homeless teacher, talking. They sit here and say they want to run a new Volusia Safe Harbor shelter, but at the same time, they don't have no barrier or super low barrier entry already. And so that's why I don't believe in them running a new shelter. So I'll let you get back. And Mike Cornell didn't say that. Tom Redmond did.
Well, just look at our bridge bed program, the Overflow. A lot of people don't understand, except for the 24/7. It is a come as you are, because I don't run it as a shelter. I run it as a housing program. I don't
that.
drug and alcohol. And you know what? Look at the success that it's had.
And it's because of empathy. Skid, when you have relationships with people on the streets, even as dangerous as it is on Skid Row, what's the best way to have a good relationship with them? Skid, you there? Oh, we must kick Skid off the line. Okay. Anyway, we're having some difficulties here in the studio, Mike.
Well,
I had such a great show planned, too.
it's sabotage, I tell you, sabotage.
Oh, Big John might have done that before he left. Do you think he did?
No,
and you know, I want to say, you know, we kid around about Big John. I respect Big John a lot, and I'm not really meaning to pick on him. Okay, so
yeah, but you know, just to get the conversation to go back to what, you know, like with the bridge bed, and you know, when they asked, you know, who can do it, January 12th, and they, you know, Randy says, well, we should ask the expert right here,
Randy Croy.
Randy Croy.
Correct.
And so they'll have all these people kind of look at you. Well, because I'd been doing it with the veterans program for a year, I said, hey, I'm turnkey. We can start tomorrow. And quite literally, in 12 days, I think it was, January 29th, we opened up the 86-bed bridge bed program. And that was a heck of a night because I had 2.5 hours notice.
Hey, we're going to try one more time to take a call. This is Tom, the homeless teacher. Who am I talking to?
This is Dave Barry.
Hey, Dave, how you doing? Do you have a question for me or Mike?
Yeah, question for Mike. I was just curious about, is Hope Place one of those housing first projects?
Well, you know, again, the housing first is you know, sort of an overall philosophy of what you do, and incorporated within that, you know, a just walk in the door, do nothing, hang out, then no. Everything that I know about what Hope Place is talking about doing is to get them turned through there. Because, again, if you're not starting with self-sufficient, they're in their own place, then any kind of shelter should be a station, not a destination.
Very good. And that was a phenomenal question, too, wasn't it, Mike?
Absolutely, man. But I think he should know that as far as everything I know from what is being said is they're going to try to concentrate on that. But it's not taking someone necessarily just from the street right into their own place.
Okay.
So you guys can get a hold of these people from that area and turn them in on that?
Well, you know, here's the thing. Hope Place is a Halifax Urban Ministries project, and we don't really have anything to do with it, we being Homeless and Hungry, my organization, or Mike Cornell and the Salvation Army. They're not a part of that. You'd have to ask your questions of HUM, but I'll just say that I asked Mark Gallus of HUM for plans, and I've been asked by the Hearst residents to do an entire show. So I ask you to tune in either next week or the week after, and you'll hear everything you want to hear about Hearst.
And the one thing I have to say, because I heard it earlier, or whatever like that, you know, oh, well, it's families and stuff like that, and I love families, but we can't like throw the single homeless individuals to say, oh, they're not like those people,
right?
Like that.
I agree.
They're all people, and housing is housing. And myself, I would always talk to the community before I did, you know, that sort of thing.
Exactly.
But I think what it'd take is, and you know, and I expressed this to some folks or whatever like that, you know, we need to, you know, as a community get together. So instead of we're going to do this or we don't want this or whatever like that, sit down and start really understanding the nature of the folks that you're working with. And again, you know, I've seen great things and I've seen not such great things, you know, in this industry and everything like that. But at the end of the day, if you're not trying to work yourself out of a job, and I keep saying it, then you need a new job.
And I'll say this last thing, and we have to wrap it up. I apologize. We have other callers, but I'll say this. Here's what you need to ask everybody. You know, how many people are you getting out of homelessness? And you are asking the right questions, and we thank you for calling. Yeah. Please check with HUM and call back and update us. Okay, again, it's the Put Your Ass on the Line segment, so if you want to call in and ask myself or Mike Cornell a question, feel free to give it a try. Mike, I'm still having a difficulty with this whole timing thing, man. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's, you know, not the easiest thing.
All right, we have another caller on the line. Who's talking?
Debbie. Chico and Debbie.
Oh, you guys finally got through, man. You know, here's what happened. We got Skid Robot on the line and Mike Cornell talking, and the phones blew up. Harold's seeing smoke fly out of the board. B is pulling her hair out. And then we go to try to take calls, and nobody's on the line. This antique stuff, but I can't talk about that.
Hey,
anyway.
Deb. Hey, Chico. How you doing, guys?
So who do we have tonight? This is our...
How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing well.
Hey, guys, let me introduce it to the audience. We have Debbie and Chico on the phone, and Debbie and Chico join us every week for 5 minutes with a homeless person from the streets. And who are we talking to this week, Debbie and Chico?
Today it's Bobby Saver, and he's actually in the Bridge Bed program. He's very blessed to be in it, and we've known him for about 3.5, 4 years. And he actually is. We met him the very first day that we started feeding. So,
Well, let's put Bobby on the phone.
okay. There you go. Hey.
Hey,
Hey, Bobby, how you doing, man?
okay, I'm doing all right.
Hey, so don't lie. Hey, turn off Mike Cornell's mic, and turn his mic off. Okay, don't lie to me now. Mike's not allowed to talk. How's the bridge bed program?
It's doing real good.
Well, wait a minute. You got to be a little more specific than that. So they're helping you out there, man?
Oh, yes, very, very much so.
In what ways?
Well, they're trying to find us homes and trying to find us jobs. And they get fed real good.
Well, let me ask you this. So I'm going to turn Mike's mic back on. That was mean, wasn't it?
I cannot confirm that he's even in the program. I just want to know.
No, we're not saying, no, he's saying he's in the program, and Mike is not confirming. It's actually, I'm putting Mike in a bad spot. So we're not identifying you, so don't use your last name or anything. So tell me about, what's the difference between this? Have you ever stayed in a shelter?
No,
Okay. Do you know anybody that stayed in a shelter?
not really, no.
How long have you
Not till
been?
now.
Do you mind telling me how long you've been homeless?
About 4 years.
4 years. Is this, dude, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. I know Chico and Debbie are your friends. Would you say that between them and the bridge bed program, if you were in it, that's what's going to help you for the first time? Do you see hope?
Yes.
Now I'm tearing up.
Dude, people don't understand this is why we do this, Mike. Hey, I have to be honest, you blew my mind, man, and me and Mike are sitting here both very, it's kind of hard, because this is why we do this, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, I always say housing is healthcare and stuff like that, and trying to do that, and to see someone, I've had a couple of upsetting things. Two of my veterans that we were able to house have passed away in the past week and a half or so, and it gets tough and it gets rough because you really do bond, and these are our brothers and sisters and stuff. But I have to say, at the end of the day, they didn't die on the street. They didn't die in a campsite. They died in their own place. And they're going to a better place, but that's what it's all about. And if we can make time here, do something a little bit better and like that, that's why.
You know what? I got to cut you off, man, because I'm going to tell you something. This is. People mislabel some of the motives I have or others have in helping homeless. But what we have going on today is almost like I can't even keep my head about me for the rest of the show. Thanks so much for joining us, man. Chico and Debbie, you still there, guys?
We're still here.
Are you crying, Debbie?
No, I'm good.
B is crying, Mike's crying, I'm crying, Harold's trying not to cry, shaking his head. We'll talk to you guys next week. I'm sorry.
All I can say is, for me, whatever, my motto is watch what we do. And Debbie and Chico are perfect examples of
Damn
this.
right,
They
watch what we do.
Talk with.
All right. No, we can't take another call, Harold. I got a 1 minute exit. I'm sorry.
Oh, come on.
No, we're out of time. So I have to, as we close the show, I have to say a few things. We're here to educate you, okay? And if you have a question about homelessness, we can prove, and when I say we, I'm talking about Homeless and Hungry, my organization, can prove any statistic we quote on the air. We are always here for a solution. Unfortunately, there's other folks that are not in their communities, and we're going to take our message far and wide through the Homeless Teacher Network. We're already looking at expanding into 3 new cities after 3 to 4 weeks. So I just have to tell you, I'm excited about educating. I hope you'll join us for the journey. Mike, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Absolutely. If, and again, if anybody wants to, have me come and tell people what we do or whatever.
And you do that all over the country. He just left the Mid-Atlantic Coalition. Both of, Mike is an expert. If you need to know homelessness, he's the guy. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Absolutely.
How much time do I have for a commercial? 30 seconds? All right, I got to talk about one last thing before we go. I forgot Rocco's Yogurt. I'm not taking a call in the last 20 seconds. You're messing me up. All right, Rocco's Yogurt, my favorite place to eat. Mike, let's go have some yogurt, man.
Absolutely, I'm with you, fella.
Go down there right across from the News Journal Center on Beach Street and tell Tom, the homeless teacher, sent you. Thanks, guys.